Peace, peace, y'all. We made it, man. It's fruition. Self-mastery is the key ingredient. It's key. Self-mastery is the key ingredient. It's the key, man. You think about how we have to, or how we've been interpreting every situation or any situation. Why did we interpret it, the way that we did? I spoke on, things happening for us, not to us. I speak on that from an understanding of, how you properly plug something that you're either going through or something that you see. It could be feelings. It could be really everything. It's everything and anything. We do that with the understanding from, I want to say, a common custom, or the environment in which we grew in. Each seed, sort of like plants. The channel name is fruition. Like when a plant or something comes together, each seed has what it needs to reproduce itself. We call the children the seeds, right? These thoughts are seeds. When planted, it grows. Not to say that every idea that was planted in our mind from, say early as birth, right? That has grown, and those seeds became thoughts. It became habits. It became routine, rituals. Apply anything and everything to this, right? Self-mastery. Self-mastery is the key ingredient. What do I mean? Triggers, right? Me personally, right? Triggers is nothing that was, really in my vocabulary the way that I'm using it. When I say trigger, I'm referring to like a cue, right? A cue. Something that is like a light bulb, an indicator, trigger that way, right? The trigger or the cue comes with, steps behind it. Something that happens, or the way that you plug or you program something. Even, it doesn't even have to be, it could be unconsciously or subconsciously, consciously. It doesn't really matter, right? But that cue triggers like a craving, right? And the craving triggers something called a response. And then the reward, shout out, the Atomic Habits. I refer to this book a lot, right? These things are happening so fast, like instantly, without our minds even grasping it. You might not even realize these things is taking place, but they do it so fast. It's like it's the quickest computer. Your mind is the brain is the quickest computer, right? So what's the self-mastery? To be aware of certain things. Okay. Me personally, and I can look at, my children or my seeds, and I see them, have it. And maybe, I'm not saying I'm unique to this, but certain triggers I used to have myself personally was, just messing up. Like who wants to mess up, right? But I used to get hard or overthink it. I didn't want to make the mistake. I didn't want to I didn't want to mess up. I didn't want to, fail, right? Not that it's all in our control, but the instant someone, corrected me on something, or, critiqued me on something, or, challenged me on something, that was a trigger of mine. And now, I'm meeting that defensively, instead of plugging that in or really reflecting on what was actually being conveyed to me, right? And that triggered a certain response, whether I knew it or not. So when you understand that, these triggers exist, you can master. The ultimate goal is to master, or the key ingredient is to master that and figure out, what needs to be applied to fix that issue, because usually the solution is in the problem. All right. I mean, man, you can apply this to anything. I want to say you can apply it to anything. You can apply it to anything, because everything is always intertwined, to a degree. The mastery, like self-mastery, your mood, mastering your mood changes the game. That's the game changer. Somebody checks you on something that you was doing wrong. Okay, now you meet that with a bad mood or an upset attitude. That takes your whole aura away. So now you've become, you've yielded to, some external factor. You change internally. That's where the real change happens, internally. That's self-mastery. This is the art of manifestation. We made in the image of. The mirror mind made manifest. These things are taking place in our mind. What you appear to be looking at as external, it started internally first. And it's relative to every thought or your capacity of your thoughts or your capacity of understandings, your capacity to grow. I said, listen, our job is to reflect. That's what man's job is, to reflect. It's no point in desiring a certain thing when you're not grateful and reflect on everything that you have and understand what this situation or what your current present moment is teaching you. What is there to learn from it? What's the nutrition in it? You understand? You definitely gotta just be aware, man. You gotta be aware, man. Master self. That's the main focus. Especially in transitioning into a change. Certain things, man. It's time to cross that bridge, and burn it. It's time to cross that bridge and burn it, Then everything thus far, all the work thus far that we done put in, and we know it's good work. We made it, man. All the work that we put in thus far has got us to this bridge. Hit that like and subscribe. Click that notification bell. Man, it's a beautiful thing, man. It's time to cross into what we've been, the work that we've been putting in this journey of becoming. Absolutely wonderful. Like I said, it's better than before. You can't go back and grab that old version or that expired version of yourself. It doesn't fit the download. It's like when things get outdated, software gets outdated, Our thoughts are software. It's the internal workings. You know, the time that we get, the opportunities we get is to master certain lessons. Certain lessons, you know, are supposed to get learned, even if they repeat it. Even if they repeat it, certain lessons got to get learned. It's the master. It's the masters yourself. Master self and reflect on everything that, you know, it's the inventory. Like I say, check inventory, reflect on everything. And this list, we get rid of the things that don't fit the download anymore. That's self-mastery. That's the key ingredient. And pay attention to triggers. Pay attention to triggers. And then when you meet that trigger, you say, you know, table that for a minute. Table that and really feel that and understand what's going on in that moment. And that's you know, it's the present. And what works for me personally is, okay, it's better than before, man. We made it. I didn't have to be here to even encounter this, right? And then I could focus on something I could do right now immediately and apply that. It might just be getting outside, going for a walk, right? It might just be getting outside, going for a walk. For real. I mean, that doesn't mean that's what you got to do. It might be hitting the gym. You know what I mean? Getting your health on. Like I said, it's better than before. And that's you know, and that bring you back. You know, I used to get so hard, be so hard on myself. We're our own biggest critics. At the end of the day, I think so. I used to get so hard on myself, whereas though I didn't realize that what I was ignoring, and I'm trying to keep up with, you know, what someone else is doing. Nah, that's not the way. That never was the way. You know? Plans change. You know, people change. You know? Interests change. Purpose change. Things changing every day. Everything's moving, you know? But, yeah, man. Self-mastery, man. That work gonna get done. I was looking at the, not to get off topic, I was looking at the river. Man, that thing cleaned up. All that rain that we was getting, that water got kind of dirty. It got a system. It has a system. It cleaned it. So now, you know, when it goes to this rock part, it cleans that water up. It's our systems that we have to, it's the system that we have to put in place, that we got to implement. That's the self-mastery. Everybody wants to win the ball game. You think the losing team came out there to lose? Nah. So don't focus on the win. Focus on the system when you're at practice. You know, how do you execute? That's the part. That's the part that needs their attention. That's what moves the ball. You know what I mean? To that pole. Yeah, everybody wants to win, so should want to win, but just wanting to win, you know, or declaring that is the goal or that's the purpose, that's not as important as the system or mastering self. You know? Let's say the goal was to make, you know, X amount of millions of dollars, right? X amount of millions of dollars. But yet, while on that journey or that path to make millions of dollars, you haven't mastered yourself. And you have some real bad habits. What would millions of dollars yield the one with the bad habits? What fruit, if any, would the $1 million bear to the one with bad habits? Let's say dangerous habits. So yeah, man, you know, like I said, ain't nothing wrong with getting get into a bag and get the money, but we can't overlook or skip self-mastery. That's the key ingredient. I'm not saying those other things are intangible. Master self, self-mastery. That's the key ingredient to any recipe. That's the system. I can't master nobody else. I can only master me. You know? When you do that, what's it called? You know, that diagnostic, my diagnostics is different than yours. That location different, right? That's what it's about. It's the inner workings, you know, of self. But hey, man, listen, I'm glad y'all can make it, man. This is fruition. Everybody have a truly wonderful, great everything. Peace.